You know what I've been wondering recently is whether Kylie Skin is now a failure. Like, no one's talking about it anymore. Do you even remember Kylie Skin? Do you even remember the last time you heard someone online talking about it? I remember this being one of the very first big celebrity skincare brands that launched back in 2019 now, and it was expected to be the next big thing in skincare, and nowadays hardly anyone's even talking about it. So what happened? How did Kylie Jenner go from launching a hugely successful makeup line with Kylie Cosmetics to building a skincare brand that drew controversy before it had actually even launched, and ultimately failed to capitalize on the hype, her own hype, even when Kylie's popularity was at its peak? So back in November of 2015, an 18-year-old Kylie Jenner launched her massively popular Kylie Cosmetics brand, capitalizing on her dramatic transformation and speculation about how she'd achieved her new look, particularly when it came down to her new fuller looking lips. Her makeup line actually became one of the most successful celebrity beauty brands we've seen in recent years, possibly of all time, with its iconic lip kits sending fans into an absolute frenzy and playing a big part in popularizing matte lip products at the time. Then every single brand started to launch their own version of Kylie's lip products and the lip kit. The brand was launched at quite possibly the perfect time to take advantage of Instagram's beauty era. And that's exactly what the brand did. Less than 4 years later, in March of 2019, Kylie Jenner was named by Forbes magazine as the world's youngest self-made billionaire. Now, obviously, there was a lot of conversation and still is plenty of debate about whether she can be realistically classed as a self-made billionaire, but either way, she was young, incredibly rich, incredibly successful, and incredibly popular at the time. And Kylie had very successfully transitioned herself from a reality star to a beauty mogul, and she could arguably do whatever she wanted in this moment, and apparently what she wanted to do was skincare. That was the big next step for her. And in her defense, this was before every single celebrity was launching skincare lines. This was before the big COVID boom of skincare. She was a little bit ahead of the game. Just 2 months after Forbes had announced her as a billionaire, Kylie Jenner announced the launch of Kylie Skin on Instagram. And in this post, she said, "Skincare and makeup go hand in hand, and Kylie Skin was something I dreamt up after Kylie Cosmetics. I've been working on this for what feels like a lifetime, so I can't believe I'm finally announcing. Building my makeup line from the ground up has taught me a lot, and I'm so blessed with that knowledge to apply to my brand new company." Now, Kylie claimed that all of the products had been designed to be suitable for all skin types. They were entirely vegan and cruelty-free, as well as being free from parabens, sulfates, the usual. And this initial range consisted of a foaming face wash, the walnut face scrub, vanilla milk toner, a vitamin C serum, face moisturizer, eye cream, and makeup removing wipes. And unsurprisingly, expectations were sky high after the pretty unprecedented success of Kylie Cosmetics. With her huge social media following and a personal brand built on looking flawless, Kylie Skin seemed like it was destined to be the biggest skincare brand in the world. It was going to take the world by storm. Like I said, anything Kylie touched at this time pretty much was successful. But in reality, the controversies actually started before the brand even officially launched. For those of you who were paying attention to the skincare world at the time, you probably know where I'm going with this, right? Obviously, I'm talking about the infamous walnut face scrub. If you were a skincare enthusiast back then, you might remember the sheer amount of drama surrounding this product. Even if you weren't into skincare, you probably still heard about it if you were online. Kylie Skin's walnut face scrub was marketed as a gentle exfoliator, but skincare experts and dermatologists were pretty alarmed to see that this type of physical exfoliant was included in Jenner's product lineup. So we all know the truth about micro tears. If you don't, check out my deep dive into the St. Ives conspiracy theory, I guess you could say, how the idea of micro tears were thrown out of court, because all micro tears is what they were basically saying is skin barrier damage. And dermatologists were warning about these micro tears and how a physical scrub like this could cause micro tears in the skin, irritation, inflammation, and long-term possible damage. Back then, I was on this too. I was like, micro tears, blah, blah, blah. Some skincare experts even called it a disaster in a bottle. And so many people were horrified when Kylie released a promotional video for the range in which she claimed that the face scrub was gentle enough to use every single day.
So my walnut face scrub, it's really gentle. It's gentle enough to use every day. I recommend 2 or 3 times a week.
She went on to say that some walnut face scrubs are kind of harsh on the skin, but this isn't too abrasive and it really leaves my skin feeling super baby soft. My walnut scrub is my secret to a fresh face. And of course, the product was immediately compared to the notorious St. Ives apricot scrub, as I mentioned. Hugely popular in the 90s. I think all millennials used it, right? But also received a lot of criticism, and as I mentioned, even facing lawsuits over its harsh ingredients and effects on the skin. But as I mentioned, the real issue with physical scrubs is you don't use them every day. You do not use them every day. You use them as much as you exfoliate. And for Kylie to say that you can use this every single day is just plain wrong. It will destroy your skin barrier. And this wasn't a gentle scrub either. I do have firsthand experience using these, and this was similar to St. Ives, less drying, but very similar. It wasn't just dermatologists and skincare experts who were disappointed with the face scrub formula. Regular consumers expressed their disappointment, with one commenter actually saying, "The leaps and bounds in chemical exfoliants at the cutting edge of skincare, and you and your team give us St. Ives Apricot Scrub 2.0. The nerve." Whilst another said, "If you really believe that Kylie Jenner's skin looks the way it does from using her new skincare line, then you deserve the consequences of walnut face scrub." Bit harsh, but just as harsh as the exfoliation, right? You get the point. A lot of people were not happy. And it was true. This was the time of the ordinary. We were being introduced to so many different ingredients and skincare knowledge that a physical walnut scrub just didn't cut it. And this controversy led to widespread backlash for Kylie Skin. The brand wasn't even officially out yet, and people were already questioning whether Kylie Skin was actually a well-developed skincare line that had a lot of thought put into it, or whether it was just another celebrity cash grab. And things didn't really get much better for the brand, actually, once they actually launched. Don't get me wrong, the launch was still hugely successful and popular, and the initial run apparently sold out on KylieSkin.com in just 6 minutes. And I was one of the people buying that initial drop, right? I needed this to review. And there were fans of Kylie Skin. I always say, like, celebrity skincare products are technically merch, like their fans are gonna wanna buy this. But the criticisms just kept coming in. The walnut scrub wasn't the only product raising concerns. Other products like the foaming face wash and the vanilla milk toner were criticized for containing fragrance and drying ingredients that many complained weren't suitable for all skin types. Now, we all know that skin is different. Fragrance and other drying ingredients aren't necessarily a bad thing. This is what happens when you look at a ingredient list and then you go through it and you're like, that's bad, that's bad, that's bad. As a formula, you have to think of the whole product. But I think the way this was being sold as suitable for all skin types is what really kind of made people look at these products and be like, that's not suitable for all skin types. And this was Kylie Jenner, part of the Kardashian family, right? People were looking to criticize her at any point. Any given thing they could criticize her for, they were gonna run with it. They were going to run with it. This wasn't going to be an easy launch, whether the products were good, whether they were amazing, or whether they were average, or whether they were bad. People were going to look to pick at this brand, and she made it a little bit easy for those who knew about ingredients and skincare. Also didn't help that Jeffree Star, one of the biggest beauty influencers back then, reviewed the entire Kylie Skin range with Shane Dawson, I hate saying these names, on his YouTube channel. Neither was impressed by the products. Couldn't give a shit what they think nowadays. With Star saying, "I think the packaging is cute, it's very monochromatic, I like it, but overall I'm just not really impressed. I just wasn't really wowed by anything." With both of them agreeing that despite the brand being marketed as luxurious and accessible, that wasn't really true, with Shane Dawson saying, "I'm going to be honest, everything to me feels very basic, which is totally fine and there's nothing wrong with that, but is that a good price for basic? I guess you are kind of paying for Kylie, it's pink, it's cute, I kind of think it works, but it's basics." What the fuck does he know? But I guess he probably knows as much as the average consumer, and that was the sentiment shared by a lot of people. I want to make a side point that Jeffree Star later launched their own product line of skincare that is just as basic and colorful and whatever. So although people think these truthful reviews are just really good, you know, he's telling the truth, he's got an ulterior motive to sell his own shit. But these products were mostly seen as fine. It was a shared kind of opinion by the masses. Definitely nothing special. There was no innovation, nothing new or exciting. These were very, very generic formulas, which you could just get from a bunch of competitors for much lower prices, like The Ordinary, which were huge again at the time. Criticisms of the brand even stretched out to calling out Kylie Jenner for not washing her face properly. Do you remember this? I remember this. When the brand launched their release video, demonstrating like how to use the products, people noticed that when she was demonstrating how to use the foaming face wash, she forgot half of her face. Viewers of the video pointed out that Kylie only spent a few seconds washing her face, and it was a few seconds, when it's usually recommended that you should wash your face for anything between 30 to 60 seconds, right? To effectively remove makeup, dirt, oil, the day. And it definitely didn't help that when she wipes her face with a towel, it's left covered in makeup, which just makes it look like the cleanser didn't work. And this might seem like, again, a really nitpicky thing to do, like a very silly thing to criticize. It also led to a lot of skepticism about whether she really used her own skincare line and whether her endorsement of her products and alleged interest in skincare was genuine, given that she appeared to lack an understanding of basic skincare practices. She also forgot to wash her forehead. It was really, really bizarre. I do remember loving that pink bathroom though. It was very, very nice. One of Kylie Skin's, I would say, biggest weaknesses at the time was that it was never positioned as a dermatologist-backed or science-driven brand, which is something that was becoming increasingly popular in the skincare world at the time and is now very, very popular. Whilst brands like CeraVe and The Ordinary, and probably more recently Rhode, have found huge success focusing on ingredient transparency and scientifically proven formulas, all being reviewed by dermatologists online, Kylie Skin relied almost entirely on Kylie Jenner's name and aesthetic in order to build up hype around the brand. This approach worked for Kylie Cosmetics before, but skincare customers are far more skeptical and research-driven when choosing products, especially at the time when skincare was becoming more and more popular online. So once the skincare products had been released and the full ingredient lists were available, a lot of people started to call out the brand for charging high prices for what were very basic formulations with zero innovation. For example, two of the most popular products at launch were the face moisturizer and the vanilla milk toner. You can see both the full ingredient lists here. Nothing really stands out, and I remember them really trying to push this like kiwi thing. Like, oh, it's got kiwi in it. I feel like every brand had their thing at the time, and I feel like Kylie Skin was really trying to push kiwi for some reason. And plenty of critics labeled the brand as just overpriced Instagram skincare with no real science behind it. They felt it was an obvious money grab, that Jenner was just rushing out some basic formulas so she could make even more money off her huge following. And to be honest, it worked. It worked at first anyway. I've got to say the products weren't bad, but they weren't great. And like I mentioned earlier, despite all the initial controversies and criticisms surrounding the brand from the very start, there was still more than enough fans of Jenner who were willing or even desperate to get their hands on the products. As I said, the first drop sold out almost instantly, and it wasn't much different whenever the products were restocked. They were really hard to get your hands on, but this hype wouldn't last forever, and the start of the decline was coming sooner than many would have expected. It was just 6 months after the launch of Kylie Skin that Kylie entered into talks with global beauty company Coty Inc. about selling a controlling stake in both Kylie Cosmetics and Kylie Skin. You may not have heard of Coty, in fact you might have, but you would have definitely heard of some of the brands that they own, which includes some of the biggest names in beauty and fashion, and very heavy links to the Kardashians nowadays. Names like Calvin Klein, Dolce & Gabbana, Gucci, Hugo Boss, Vera Wang, Rimmel, Wella, and the list just goes on and on and on. And the deal would finally go through later in 2020 when Coty acquired 51% of Jenner's beauty empire for a price of $600 million, meaning the brands combined had been valued at $1.2 billion. But despite Coty's long list of successful brands under their ownership, they also have a history of struggling to maintain trendy beauty brands, often failing to convert that initial popularity into long-term success. On the face of it, things looked pretty good. Things looked pretty good when Coty took over. Initially, Kylie Cosmetics as a whole made around 200 million sales in 2019, with Kylie Skin contributing to around 25 million of that. When it launched, Kylie Skin was a separate company, right? When Coty came in, they kind of brought it all together under the same Kylie Cosmetics name. That's not bad considering Kylie Skin had only been launched 7 months earlier, so the company made 25 million in just over half a year, which is pretty good. Coty also expanded the brand further internationally, finally becoming available in places like the UK, France, France, Germany, and Australia. They also put Jenner's products into brick and mortar stores for the first time, making it easily accessible to so many different people. And overall, the brand saw a decent amount of growth once Coty took over. But that success wasn't to last much longer. When the deal took place, it was agreed that Jenner would stay on and continue to be involved in product development and the marketing. After all, she was the face of the brand, right? And pretty much the entire reason anyone bought the products was because of her. But after the takeover, fans of the brand quickly started to feel like Kylie Skin didn't really seem like Jenner's brand anymore, which, to be fair, it kind of wasn't. And it didn't really help that over the next couple of years, Kylie Jenner's interest in skincare seemed to drop off. She was posting about the skincare brand, but much less, like less and less and less, and was instead focusing on other ventures like her makeup launches, her swimwear line, Kylie Swim, and more recently, her clothing line, KHY. And whilst other skincare brands started taking the limelight with their science-backed formulas like CeraVe, Kylie Skin just started to fade into the background. Jenner's name is what made the brand so popular, so her declining interest, a very obviously declining interest in her own brand, led to a similar decline in interest from her fans and consumers. So is Kylie Skin a failure? No, it's definitely not a flop in any way, which is why this isn't part of my beauty's biggest flop series, but Kylie Skin definitely hasn't reached the heights that it was expected to, and hasn't managed to have the same cultural impact as her makeup brand did. And since the initial hype around Kylie Skin, both the skincare line and Kylie Cosmetics has declined in popularity, with steadily falling sales for several years now, kind of matching the Kardashians' popularity. Kylie Cosmetics, in particular, was for a short time one of the most successful and most hyped beauty brands in the world. But reports say that Jenner's beauty empire has gone from sales of 68 million in 2017 to almost half of that in 2022, with 36 million in sales and falling even further to 29 million in 2024. Still not bad though. Bear in mind when Coty took over, they put Kylie Skin under the Kylie Cosmetics brand. So in 2017, Kylie Cosmetics earned 68 million on its own, but 7 years later, Kylie Cosmetics and Kylie Skin combined earned just $29 million together. That's a massive drop off. The two brands have been affected partly by the COVID pandemic, right? Though that likely mostly impacted the makeup side of the business, but as we all know, skincare sales took a massive jump during that time as well. So they were probably hoping that Kylie Skin could have made up for some of the Kylie Cosmetics drop in sales during that time, but that's not what happened. Like, that was her chance to get things back on track. Other than the pandemic, a big part in the decline of both brands was just the fact that trends changed, and neither brand really kept up with that. No one's using lip kits anymore, although they kind of are now. People are lining their lips again, but it's a very different aesthetic to the kind of aesthetic that Kylie Cosmetics built the whole business around. Slowly going out of fashion, then because of the lockdown, the clean girl aesthetic came into play, and for years after. And Kylie Skin was actually already kind of behind the times as soon as it launched. Skincare had already become much more of a demanding space, and basic formulas looked like the Ordinary, not Kylie Skin, and those products just weren't gonna cut it. People were also getting into K-beauty, so you had these super affordable but amazing skincare products that Kylie Skin just didn't stand a chance going up against. So the question is, like, what do they do now? They're still around. What's next for Kylie Skin? Like, surely now with the TikTok boom and skincare boom again, now is the time to make a comeback, no? I mean, there were reports back in 2023 in August that Jenner was having talks with Coty about potentially buying back the shares, which she sold to them in 2020, but nothing really seems to have come from it. I mean, that probably would have been a good move if she could make a deal. Seeing as sales have dropped off so significantly in the last 6 years, it's likely that the brand would be valued at far less than it was back then. So she could buy those shares back for less and still make a profit overall. Like, 29 million or whatever is nothing to her, right? But it doesn't sound like Coty is willing to do that, given that we've heard nothing about it for the last 2 years. That really could spark some new life back into the brand, especially seeing as Coty aren't too interested in putting resources back into building the brand back up. They seem more interested in investing in other brands they own at the moment. That's part of the trouble with being owned by a huge conglomerate, is like you can't always guarantee that you're gonna get the attention you need. If Kylie Skin was to ever make a comeback though, an awful lot would have to change, right? They would have to reformulate, in my opinion, and kind of go with this whole new science field that skincare has turned into. I mean, skincare has always been a science, right? But with all these experts online, people really are talking about their ingredients and newer innovation. You can't have fucking VT Riedel shot and then have a walnut scrub, Kylie. You can't do it. One of the biggest problems with Kylie Skin is that it leaned far too heavily on Jenner's fame, right? Rather than well-researched effective formulas. As I mentioned, in today's world, dermatologist-backed brands are like dominating. Kylie Skin would have to shift their branding to something similar in order to compete, remove what people deem as unnecessary ingredients and concentrate on skin health. Maybe even get rid of the millennial pink or switch it up in some way. Saying that Glossier are doing okay with their millennial pink branding. There'll also need to be a drop in prices. As I mentioned, K-beauty is affordable and way more effective. You can't charge such high prices for pretty much standard products. I think now, especially with celebrity skincare fatigue, they don't need a celebrity face. Kylie doesn't need to be the face of this brand. People want skincare influencers, dermatologists, estheticians, cosmetic chemists. They want experts. And they need to expand the range into more targeted treatments like serums, retinoids, and acne solutions, right? This was at the time when every brand was launching their own version of whatever The Ordinary had. Whereas now The Ordinary are launching their versions of whatever is popular in K-beauty. And I think there needs to be a massive shift. The whole brand needs to be reassessed, which I think can only be done if Kylie buys back the brand. But if Kylie Skin isn't able to or is unwilling to make these significant changes to their product formulations, branding, and marketing, then the brand is likely to continue its rapid descent into irrelevance. If it can reinvent itself as a serious skincare brand that isn't just relying on Kylie Jenner's name to sell mediocre products, let's be honest, then it might have a chance. But let me know what you think. Can they make a comeback? Do you want them to make a comeback? Is it already too late for the brand? Should Kylie kind of reinvest her interest back into a makeup line as makeup is having its moment again? Let me know what you think in the comments. I personally won't be reaching for it either way.